Hey everyone, it's Melody with Design by Melody here. I am part of the Sonshine Stamp Company design team, and I am here with my second project for their design team for the month of August. And I decided to go ahead and make it a planner video for you guys. I really enjoy working in my planner. I use it for weekly planning as well as memory planning. And when I say memory planning, I mean documenting the memories of the week, not planning out my memories of the week. This is a good complement that I find to include with my scrapbooking. It's the little things that don't make it into my scrapbook. That's the type of things that I put into my memory planner. And I really loved stamping in my planner here recently. I have found that if I use tons and tons of stickers and other embellishments, my planner gets extremely thick and less functional. Whereas if I keep it to more basic stamping and decorations, I find it to be more functional for myself. That is completely a personal choice. There are a ton of beautiful stickers and embellishments that you can add to your planner, but I am wanting to show you what you can do with stamping in your planner this week. So I'm starting with the Kate's Hand stamps from the Sonshine Stamp Company, and I will make sure that I have all of these stamps linked in the description box below, but definitely go check out the Sonshine Stamp Company blog. You'll see this project as well as a project every single day from the design team. There are 10 wonderful girls on the design team for the Sonshine Stamp Company, and we are coming up with some really cool different things. We all have different styles and we all do different types of projects, so it's really cool. I've really enjoyed watching what the other girls have come up with. I am mixing a couple different things here. I am mixing a couple different stamp sets. I'm using some ink from Paper Tray Ink, and then I'm also using these rub-ons, and I've got a couple different fonts of rub-ons that I'm using. These rub-ons are quite old, so they're not going on incredibly well, but I kind of like that distressed look to them, and it kind of goes with my word king that I did the stamping off. I wanted it to have a less crisp, more gray look versus the real dark black ink. So it all kind of fits together. And this is going to say the King of Kindergarten. I'm using two different stamp sets. As I mentioned, the Kate's Hand is that large alpha. And then the other one that says the, and it's also going to be the word of, is from the Daughter of the King stamp set from Sonshine Stamp Company. And I'm also going to use a couple a couple stamps to create decoration on this page as well. There's going to be a crown from the Daughter of the King stamp set, and there's also going to be, I'm going to pull out another stamp set from the company, from the Sonshine Stamp Company, and it's going to be the Celebrate stamp set. Now this one has words like hooray and celebrate and a couple banners and like confetti looking stamps. You're going to see how I use those. Now my memory planning this week, I decided to treat it like a journal. So Kaylin started kindergarten about, 2 weeks ago, I should say. That's pretty much exactly 2 weeks ago. And it's been a huge transition for us, probably more so me than him because he's loved it. But I was really worried about his transition into kindergarten. I wasn't sure if he was going to like it. I wanted to make sure that he was happy, that he wasn't stressed. I'm a worrier. I mean, let's just be honest. I worry, especially about my child. I want him to be happy. I want things to be perfect. Things are not always perfect, but I want him to be as happy as can possibly be. So I was really happy whenever kindergarten started, and he was just ecstatic about it. He told me, he goes, "Mommy, I love it more than camp." And that's a big deal because he really liked summer camp this year. So the title for this, I guess semi-title for this page. I don't really title my journaling pages or my memory planning pages, but this one is about kindergarten. And basically, he's the king of kindergarten right now because he loves it. He is just so happy there. Pulled out these fat, short, colored pencils. These are totally from Kaylin's art box. It was the closest thing at hand, and I thought, well, what the heck? Why not? It's about kindergarten. Let's use some of his supplies. So I'm coloring in the crown that I stamped from the Daughter of the King stamp set. And I will make sure, if I haven't mentioned this before, I'll make sure that all of these stamp sets are linked in the description box below. And make sure that you go to the Sonshine Stamp Company website and check out the blog because there is a new project every day posted from the design team, and we all have our own specific style. We all do our own specific projects that we just love, and I am truly enjoying seeing everything go up because now I didn't Bible journal before, but I've really decided I think I might start. I also have started looking at some of the other projects, and it's just really kind of opened my mind to some things that I had never really thought about before. So I'm going to skip over a good portion of this journaling where I'm writing my journal entry. And again, this is just in my memory planner. I don't always do a journal entry, but sometimes I do. And I had a story that I wanted to tell today. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to write it out and I'm going to incorporate some of the stamp sets. Before I skip ahead, let me tell you which stamp sets I'm using. I'm going to use the Planner Basics stamp set because it has words on this stamp set such as plan for, personal, school, work, to do, memory, shop for, and morning. And then I'm also going to use the calendar stamp set, and it's got the months of the year, the days of the week, a couple other little words, and then 2 different sizes of numbers. And I'm going to incorporate that in my journaling here, and then I'll highlight those stamped words with some of those colored pencils just to add a little bit more interest to the journaling instead of it just being a paragraph. So let me skip ahead and I'll show you what it kind of looks like at the end. Just finish up the writing and adding the last few little stamps that I wanted to include. And I just wrote my story, and whenever I came across a word that I had a stamp for, I used it. I thought it was a good way to kind of create a bit of interest in the journaling. And then it's just a great way to use stamps and just create a little bit more decoration throughout the page instead of, like I said, it being just this giant long paragraph or narrative or whatnot. People are less likely, I think, because I am less likely to just read a handwritten narrative versus having a little bit more interest into it. And then I used some of the colored pencils just to highlight those stamped words. And I'll have still photos of this at the end if you'd like to see what that journaling says, see how I incorporated those stamps, and just kind of take a little bit of a closer look to it. And of course, there'll be pictures in the blog post as well. I took out that Celebrate stamp set that I mentioned earlier and stamped the word hooray because, again, this was a big deal for us. It turned out perfectly, and I'm celebrating that. And then I took the confetti stamp set from that the confetti stamp from that Celebrate stamp set and stamped it around the bottom of the page. And then I'm just taking in the color pencils and filling in those little confetti pieces. You don't have to do that, but I just like the pops of color that it adds. And the words that I stamp throughout the journaling are school, the number 2, morning, school again, Friday, Monday, and then the numbers 1 and 10. So that's kind of how that ended up being. So basically, well, actually, I'll go ahead and read it to you. It says, Kaylin has officially started his first day of school. He finished the first week with no problems whatsoever, which makes me incredibly happy for him. Now that week 2 has begun, we are settling into a nice routine. In the morning, we wake up early, eat, get ready, and run out the door for carpool. Kaylin does not like to be late. Once school is over, he goes to the after school program. He made sure to tell me this week that he thinks school is so much more fun than camp. Then every day, Monday through Friday, we spend time reading together. At night, I've caught him practicing his Spanish in bed, counting from 1 to 10. I'm so proud of this boy. And to go right along with this, on the other side of the weekly page, sometimes I'll write out different things that happened each day. Sometimes I'll keep it pretty basic. It just kind of depends on what I'm feeling whenever I'm doing my memory planning. This time, because all the journaling on the other side was about school, I decided just to take a few of the banner stamps and create a banner across the page, color in those banners, and then just write or stamp the word loving with that Kate's hand stamp set again, and then use the rub-ons for school. So it's basically going to say loving school. That's what this week was all about. It was all about just getting into that routine for us. And this is an important time. This is what sets him up for the rest of his school career, which, hey, he's in kindergarten. He's got like a good 12 plus years to go. So this was a big deal. And I want to make sure just to document the little things because though it doesn't feel like a whole lot right now, it's kind of cool to think about the fact that he was practicing counting his numbers in Spanish in bed. Like that's such a cute little thing that will never be remembered later. I can tell you, I'll forget. I forget big things, much less all the little details. And then again, I'm just mixing up the fonts and adding this rub-on set to rub on the word school. I really like the mixing, the different types of typography, and I just think it adds a bit of interest, and I really like the look of it. Plus, I haven't used these rub-on alphas in a really long time, and they're really cool. I like having the option to have a bunch of different alpha sizes and fonts and things like that. I think that's one reason why I like the Kate's Hand stamp set so much, because it's completely different than anything else I have in my stamp supply, and it's a really cool big bold font without being like overwhelming, because it still is a narrow letter, but it's bold enough to make an impact. The stamps from Sonshine Stamp Company are awesome quality as well. So if you're looking for some good quality stamp sets, she has a really nice mix of planner steps, stamps, not steps, stamps, Bible journaling stamps, just a lot of different stamps. And you can use all of them for scrapbooking. Every single one of them is extremely appropriate for scrapbooking. So here's a look at my memory planner. And what I do is after the month is over, I move these pages into a 6x8 album. And this one will go right there as well. So you can see how I use stamping. Okay, so now that I'm done with my memory planner, I am going to go ahead and pull out my planner pages for the week and go ahead and do my weekly planning spread. I pulled out 3 stamp sets to go ahead and start with. I am using my Planner Basics stamp set again. That's the one on the right. Then I'm using my large banners stamp set, which is this one that I'm using right now with these large banners. These are really cool. I am using this large pennant to stamp on some small post-it notes, and then that way they'll be movable in my planner. I'm going to use this to document my YouTube videos that are going up, just in case I need to rearrange them and post them on a separate day. I put them on these post-it notes, and this is really cool because I can use the stamps on the post-it notes and still have the adhesive from the post-it itself, as long as I line it up at the top of the post-it, like the piece of paper. I'm also going to use a few other stamp sets in this page. I'm going to use my Celebrate stamp set as well, which I just used in the memory planning portion of this video. First things first, I'm just documenting which videos are going up on which days so I can make sure that I have them all in here. I am very much a functional planner, which is why I don't do my plan with me videos at the beginning. I do the memory planning at the beginning. I feel like that's a much more valuable video for you guys to watch and see, because I feel like that's a little bit different than what a lot of people do. And I'm not really big into like huge planner decorating. I'm much more of a functional planner. And so I do feel like you can learn something or see something, or hopefully anyways, you learn something or see something from my regular planner videos that you enjoy and that you can use yourself. But I personally feel like the memory planning is a little bit more impactful, which is why I always put that first at the video if I do it. I use 2 of the little stamps, this little triangular one as well as this like single scallop looking one from the stamp set to stamp on some scrap paper. I didn't have any other post-it notes that I wanted to use, and it was not important that these little stamps were movable, but I wanted to stamp just a few little indicating things to add a few notes. And what I did with that little gray triangle that I had stamped, I stamped it on gray scrap paper rather, and I used the stamp that said plan for. There's a bake sale on Friday at Kaylin's school, and it's a fundraiser, so I needed to remember to send some money with him for the bake sale so he can buy a couple things and support the fundraising event. I also use this little platter with like the steam coming out of it to designate my meals for the week. And then I needed to make sure that I remembered that I'm going out of town for work on Wednesday. I don't normally go out of town. I'm actually driving a couple hours north to go to a meeting, and then I'll be back that same day. But I needed to make sure that I remember that so I can plan for it on Tuesday before I leave. So that's why I use that really big, bold, black stamp. Well, I stamped it with that bold black ink to make sure that it stood out in my planner. I'm also using this open circle stamp to make my own little icon stamps. You can get planner stickers just like I just showed with the same icons, but I like the stamped version of this. You can make it any color you want whenever you stamp it, and that's really functional for me. That way, regardless of what colors I'm using in the rest of my planner, that just fits right in. I'm also using the open pennant stamp to designate my work schedule, my regular like 9 to 5 day kind of job. I feel like I do different kind of work all the time, but I do have a job that I need to be at during the day, so I need to make sure I put that in here so I don't forget. So as you can see, my planner is pretty basic. I don't do a whole lot of extra things, but I thought that it might be useful for you all to see how I use stamps in my planner itself. Instead of it just being, a simple planner that I write in, I do like to decorate it. I just keep it pretty basic. It's not real fancy, it's really minimal. You don't have to have any kind of crazy skill to be able to do this. All you need is a few stamps, some ink, and then just a planner to stamp in, or even printed pages to stamp in. You don't even have to have some fancy planner. And that's one way, that's when it's really nice to have these stamps, is that you don't have to have something fancy. You just need a few good tools, and these stamps are really good quality and they're really fun to use. Just stamping my date at the top with this calendar stamp set. This calendar stamp set is cool because you could create your own planner yourself with this single stamp set. So again, as I mentioned, I will have still photos at the end of everything that I created for you guys today, and then I will also have all of the links below, and then everything will also be in the blog post at Sonshine Stamp Company if you would like to check that out. All right, thank you for joining me, and check back tomorrow for another design team post on the blog. All right, bye guys.